Well, hello. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Welcome back to The Loop. As you know, Thursdays are always special because I'm getting to spend some time with my dear friend, Greg Nibler, and my amazing co-host here. For those of you who are new and who, thank you so much for shopping. Welcome to, if you're coming on a replay as well. My name is Winnie Sun. You may have seen me on CNBC, on Council there, Forbes contributor, and longtime financial professional. So thank you so much for being here, and welcome Greg also to the show. How are you, Greg?
I'm doing good. Thanks, Winnie. Yeah, and hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Like Winnie said, whether you're watching live, watching on replay, wherever it is, we just appreciate it. And if you don't know who I am, I've been a reporter in a number of different fields, including the NBA, but largely tech over the last 10 years or so, hosting a number of different shows, but covering all kinds of different things with technology and gadgets. So I talk a lot about that. I bring a little bit of that to the show, hopefully the fun stuff out of tech. But this show is going to be a lot of fun because we also have a very special guest who's going to be joining us here in a minute. And I don't know, I mean, you've probably already been spoiled. It's not like it's a surprise guest. You've seen the posts about this, but I'm really excited for our guest who's going to be joining today, who's your friend, Winnie.
He is. He's my dear friend, one of my best friends. In fact, I am so honored, so excited to have him here. And if you saw my tweets on Twitter just recently, you know I did warn you not to come to the show hungry. But if you did, you know what? We're going to make it work. Let's start with the market. Let you know how we close. Now, the Dow closed down 150. Actually, I should say this. The Dow closed up 153 points, and the Nasdaq closed up 15 as well. The S&P also up 18. Now, here's some good news. If you didn't know already, the U.S. economy has actually been getting better since pre-pandemic. And although it's starting to improve, we're seeing really positive earnings this week from a lot of the big tech names, but we're still very concerned about COVID and what that's going to happen the next few months, definitely next year, and how that's going to impact the economy. So until that happens, you're going to see more volatility in the financial markets. But on other news today, in terms of unemployment, as you know, Thursdays are when the Labor Department reports unemployment numbers. Unfortunately, as of the week ending July 24th, last week, more people did file for unemployment, over 400,000, which exceeded estimates. To give you an idea, that's almost twice as many people than in a pre-pandemic year. So certainly not going in the right direction. But on other news, which I thought was really interesting that you might find fascinating, is that Amazon shares actually fell after a market today. In fact, they fell more than 5%. So just it goes to show you that even when you're big, it doesn't necessarily mean you're always going to exceed or outperform, and investors aren't always going to be pleased. In fact, as you know, right now, Jeff Bezos has passed the reins over to CEO Andy Jassy, who previously led AWS. So we'll see how that takes place. But as Greg mentioned, that's not why you're really here. And we know why you're really here. You're here to see the one and only, my dear friend, and let me tell you, one of the most amazing human beings that I know, the one and only Mike Chen. Mike, welcome to the show.
Hey, hey, Winnie. Hey, Greg. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, Mike, you know, I know you are super busy, so we're going to jump right into it. For those who, I don't know if there's many of you who don't know who Mike is. If you're one of the maybe one or two dozen of people here in the world that don't know who Mike is, Mike started his YouTube career 7 years ago. It's so crazy. I can't believe it's only 7 years ago. And he's attracted such a huge, massive following on his nearly a dozen different YouTube channels. Now, as you know, he features a variety of content ranging from all sorts of food adventures, from traditional, amazingly delicious Chinese culture to supernatural kind of eerie content. So for his Strictly Dumpling channel, in fact, Mike travels the globe exploring different cuisines, delicious steak, and, you know, I will tell you some of the best plates of food I have had in my life, I was able to share with this amazing human being, Mike Chen. And so Mike, actually, I will say that I have never been led astray. I'm sure many of you who follow his content know that as well. And I don't know, Mike, I feel like, you know, eating is just so much more fun with you. And people always ask me, like, is it different eating with you? And it actually is different eating with you, Mike. It's I would call it an experience.
Well, I appreciate that, Winnie. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Yeah, eating, I feel like, you know, there's two types of people in this world, those who live to eat and those who eat to live. So I feel like people who live to eat, life's just a little more flavorful. And if you treat eating not just like as a burden or just something to, put sustenance in our bodies and treat it like an experience, then every day you can have more than three, sometimes more than three, multiple wonderful experiences.
I know. I think you are definitely more than three. And on that note, I want to say a big hello. I see Joshua. I see CrossX Fighter. I see Flip Flops Needed joining us on YouTube. We see Vicky on Facebook. We see Sadiq on YouTube. I see so many on different platforms. Hello on Twitter Live. Also, Robin Stevens. It's great to have all of you here. And as Greg mentioned in our previous show as well, as you remember, this show is about as much about you as it is about us. So if there's a question that you want to ask Mike, definitely reach out, send them in, and we're going to try to monitor your questions throughout the show. And by the way, Flip Flops Needed says you need to come back to Irvine. Let me just tell you, he definitely needs to come back to Irvine because I'm in Irvine. I would love to see Mike again. But give you an idea of some stats. I mean, this is just so impressive. Mike, I don't know, I'm sure you know this, but I did a little calculation. The financial person in me had to do this. You've easily exceeded 1 billion video views on YouTube.
Oh, I wasn't counting, but yeah, good to know. Thank you.
I mean, it's not like kind of over 1 billion. It's like quite over 1 billion. So, I feel like we need to give you a round of applause. This is just...
Thank you.
That is impressive. 7 years and over 1 billion views. Yeah, that's
1 billion with the letter B, by the way. Okay, this is a lot of views. Like, not only that is, I feel like we should have some fun. Greg, what do you think? I mean, let's put him on the hot seat. Should we do some trivia?
Yeah, we can do some trivia. We can ask some questions. I mean, I've got a bunch of things that I wanted to ask him as well. But yeah, do we want to go into the trivia side of things? Is that where we want to head, Woody?
Let's do it.
Okay. All right. So let me pull these up here. I want to make sure that I get my questions here for you right. So we want to ask about food and some of the other things as well. But I wanted to ask you this. So if you, Mike Chen, you've traveled everywhere, you've gone to all these different places, but say you were stuck on a desert island, what would be in Mike's backpack? What would you bring with you?
Tons of ramen.
Hold on, Mike. We have to let the audience participate.
Wait. Okay, I messed up.
A very regimented
Definitely
show,
not ramen.
Very regimented.
At all. No ramen. Okay. Nothing.
All right.
Ramen is in my backpack.
Yeah, it's a great emergency food. All right, so here are the questions though. So this actually is fun.
That's not even okay. All right.
If Mike was on an island, would he pack broccoli, hot dogs, hot chili oil, deep dish Chicago pizza, or 12-pack of onion pancakes? And those of you who are watching, we would love to get your feedback. And then, Mike, I know this is a tough one for you.
Well, one of them isn't that tough.
What are these?
Let me know when you want me to answer this.
All right. I think we're ready. Which one would... Okay, Vicky is saying D, that you would pick deep dish Chicago pizza. All right, Vicky. Okay, C, hot chili oil. Okay, I see someone's been keeping up with their YouTube there. Very, very fun. All right, I see. Okay, Flip Flops Needed is saying C. We got a lot of D. We got a lot of C. LinkedIn in the house is saying C. Mike, which of these would you bring in your backpack if you were stuck on an island?
I think the deep dish pizza would be hard to cook. I thought about that. Definitely not the broccoli. That's my mortal enemy. And I think it has to be chili oil because I could fish on a deserted island and there's water. I could fish. I've watched Castaway a bunch of times. I could definitely fish. But I also, that's that scene where Tom Hanks is like, another crab. It's flavorless. Now, when you have some hot oil. So I think if I can catch some fish, some crab, and season it, I do a lot better than he did. I may not even want to get off. I just stay on.
You just stay on all day long,
I would stay on. Why not?
All right. The question is, how much chili oil would you take? And the second question, let's do an add-on. If you could take two of these items, which two would they be?
Okay, so hot oil for sure. And then I'll go for the pack of pancakes. Mainly because, I think I can get protein on this island. I've watched enough MacGyver as well. I feel like I can fashion some stuff out of sticks and bow and arrow or something. I think I could do it. So if you give me some pancakes, I think I could make a decent fish taco, spicy fish taco.
What do you think, Greg? Would you want a spicy fish taco? It sounds pretty good, yeah?
I mean, a spicy, fish taco sounds amazing. Amazing. I like the reasoning behind the oil. Although for me, the deep dish pizza, I figure maybe if it's a desert island, maybe you can lay it out on a rock and cook it, something like that. May not last that long, but I would be hard pressed to pass that up.
Okay, I love that. Okay, and we see a friend here from Twitter Live saying Mike equals Tom Hanks. We see Paul join from Twitter Live also saying pancakes. And Monty, we catch you. Monty is all about the onion pancakes. Okay, Robin saying Stevens is saying pizza. Now, Robin, actually, you've had pizza with. I think you've had pizza with Mike, or you haven't. But or maybe you haven't. You and I had pizza on Mike's suggestion, and it was really good pizza. All right, let's go to another question, Carlos. Let's ask, what is Strictly Dumplings' most viewed video? And this one, I really would love your thoughts. Now, those of you who watch Mike, this is gonna be like, you really need to have your Mike Chen trivia down, because we're gonna have some fun today. I would love to hear how many of you can guess Mike's most viewed video. Now, this is hard. I'll give you a hint, all right? Every single one of these videos has millions of views, millions with a big M. In fact, so much so, each of these videos has over 10 million. And one of these has 2 times that amount in terms of views. This is bananas. Okay, so which of these do you think is Mike Chen's most viewed video? Mike, do you know the answer to this? I'm thinking you do.
I do, not because I looked, mainly because this came up like a few months ago when I was doing something. I forgot why it came up, but yes, I do know the answer. Should I say it? Can I answer?
Not yet, because we got a lot of answers coming in. So Paul is saying A, perfect ramen noodles in Osaka, Japan. I love that. That was one of my favorite episodes. D, okay, so Joshua Cross-X Fighter is saying brunch at 7-Eleven in Seoul, Korea. That was also a really good episode. A, same thing. Ramen Osaka, for sure. I mean, for those of you, after the pandemic, when you go back to Japan, this is definitely a video you'll want to watch a few times to just like take notes. All right. Okay, flip-flops needed from Irvine. I feel like you really are going to represent us here. And you're saying 7-Eleven versus Lawson in Tokyo, Japan. All right. Very, very, very cool. Shall we give you another minute? All right. Mike, what's the answer?
I believe it's brunch at Taiwan 7-Eleven.
It is. It's actually eating brunch at Taiwan 7-Eleven. Over 21 million views, my friends.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
that was a good day. That was a fantastic layover. We just left the airport. We had time for one meal in Taiwan before we were heading off to I think Vietnam. I think we were heading to Vietnam. And then we had one stop. And it was we went to 7-Eleven, we ate it. It was amazing. My first time eating at a 7-Eleven in Taiwan. Wonderful experience.
now, Mike, you had several items in Taiwan, in 7-Eleven, as well as other meals in Taiwan. What is something that you miss eating in Taiwan?
Taiwan, for sure. You missed the beef noodle soup, because that's one of the best things in that country. The pancakes are amazing. And there's something else I really miss is there are tea shops in Taiwan, notably Taipei, where you go in and they basically treat you like family. You go in and they pour whatever tea you want. Some of these teas sells for, I think, $100 for an ounce, and they pour whatever you want for you, and then you just sit there and you drink tea with these with the tea farmers, and explain to you the whole process behind how they make the tea, how they grow the tea, how they roast the tea, and then at the end of the day, if you don't want to buy anything, it's fine. If you want to pick up something, great. So there's no pressure to sell you anything. Like some experience like that anywhere would be like easily $30, $40, $50, if not more. And in Taiwan, it's just free if you don't want to get anything that day. But it's just such a great experience. So Taiwanese people are some of the nicest, most welcoming people. So that's a place I 100%. I should try to get in. They wouldn't let me in. So
I know. I can't wait to go there too. I know right now with. I know, let us in. Well, I guess maybe you have you'll probably have to live there for part of the year again. That's on the bucket list of the
I'll
paddock,
move
right?
there. I'm happy moving there.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
I love that. All right, Greg, I know you've got trivia for Mike next.
All right, we got another one. I'm going to guess Mike knows the answer to this one, but the audience may not know the answer to this. So here's the question. So before Mike's success on YouTube, what was his career? So what was he doing before this? So here are your different answers. A, sous chef in Las Vegas. B, a wedding videographer. C, McDonald's crew member. D, a model at CES. Or E, an apprentice at a noodle factory. So this is a wide variety here. This is a wide variety of careers. It could be any one of them, obviously. But
I've actually seen him do one of these things. Yeah. And if you want a plus one of these also Mike has done, like I would say not that long ago at the K-pop convention. So maybe if you know your Mike Chen trivia, you might actually know what this one is. All right. So I see a lot of people jumping in. We got D. A lot of people saying Mike was a model at CES. Okay. All right. We got a lot of A's. A lot of people say that you were sous chef in Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's a lot of sous chefs coming in.
A lot of sous chefs, Mike. A lot of sous chefs. You know that onion pancake with cheese has made it's been at the Wynn Hotel, I'm guessing. Very cool. All right, Mike, tell us. Okay, D. A lot of people think you're a model too, Mike.
Yeah. I mean, modeling was something I would have done. Just in case this YouTube thing never worked out. I was gonna, but Abercrombie would have been my choice, not CES. So I was gonna say that would have been what my life would have been. Anyway, it wasn't a sous chef in Las Vegas. That'd be kind of cool. It was actually a wedding videographer. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's kind of a crazy spin, going from wedding videographer.
Yeah, I filmed weddings for about 10 years. Been to so many weddings that I hope eventually when I go to mine, I feel something. I feel like I'm been numb to all the weddings I've been to, but I've been to my fair share, or a lot of people's fair share of weddings.
When you were doing all these weddings, when you were filming these, were you sampling whatever and taking a look at whatever it was they were serving for food and getting?
Oh no, that was the best part of the whole thing. Why do you think I did it, Drake? Like that. I mean, they didn't even pay me. They were just like, "Hey, we'll just get you a plate of steak," and I'm like, "I'm in." Like, wait. Where is the steak? Outback's from Outback, catered by Outback. Still, I'm in. But yeah, that is 100% what I look forward to. There was always a break where you can use some food, and yeah, trust me, they lost money.
Okay, so Greg, that's a great question. So let's ask this, Mike. In your future wedding, what will you be serving at your wedding?
100%. I'll tell you what I won't be doing. I will not have it. I will not have it like a menu wedding. I'm doing all buffet. Like I feel like wedding food, I never get enough. So it's always like, and then you make a wrong choice. You have a brain fart that day. You choose the chicken over the steak, and then you're just miserable for the rest of the night. I don't want people to feel miserable. I don't want people to have any food regret. Mine is going to be all buffet, all maybe Sichuan food or something like that. Something really nice, but inexpensive, but really delicious and authentic. And I think people will have a great. If the food is good, people are going to have fun no matter what. That's how I feel about it. Like, at least they could be like, that wedding was horrible, but at least the food was good. That's what I want my wedding to. That's the model for my wedding. But it might not be that much fun, but at least the food was good.
At least the food was good. I mean, that sounds really great, Greg. I mean, like you could sing at Mike's wedding, and then like I'm
right. That's exactly what Mike wants. Yes,
right?
Is my performance at the wedding.
I need Greg. You got to MC the thing.
That I could do. I've got a few of those.
I love that. And then so I'm guessing there's going to be more eating than dancing at your wedding, Mike. True or false?
Well, I mean, I don't dance much, but I think my favorite activity is food. So people who I invite probably most likely will share similar thoughts. So I'd say we just boogie down at our tables with the mountain of whatever there is to eat. I'm thinking that would be a fun night.
So
I love that. That sounds really fun, actually. Yeah, that does okay. All right. So for those of you who on the last question, if you're wondering what Mike did just recently at the K-pop conference from that list, Mike, which one was it?
I made a scallion pancake.
You
It
changed
was
giant pancake. Yeah,
it was good.
and you worked at McDonald's.
Yeah. I know we're at McDonald's. I was Ronald McDonald's partner
Yes, you.
when we were passing out burgers. Now, Ronald McDonald, I always figured this guy, from seeing him on commercials, like this will be the creepiest experience of my life. Because I'm not a big fan of clowns. Like, seen it a couple times. That's not my favorite thing. The guy was pretty funny. Ronald, funny guy, gotta say.
Really?
Wouldn't let him take care of my kids, but funny guy.
Wait, kids? How many kids we have? How many you gonna have, Mike?
I gotta ask my future wife.
Regardless, Ronald McDonald will not be
We will
babysitting.
ask
That's
her.
for sure.
Ronald McDonald will not be asked to babysit. No,
So maybe he'll get a whole bunch of Happy Meals. Who knows? All right. Well, I've got a trivia question for you, Mike, next. And this is for all you Mikey Chen fans out there. This one I think you're gonna really enjoy. And that is there was a Try Guy videos that featured Mike where they all ate 400 dumplings in total. This was like one of those like dumpling eating competitions that Mike, you got to talk to us about. How many did Mike eat in that video?
Yeah, that's a lot of dumplings. Regardless, that's a lot of dumplings.
The guy has a bottomless stomach, though.
I mean, I get it. Dumplings are delicious. I could definitely do the lower number. I don't know if I could do the higher number.
Well, when I remember one time I ate with Mike in locally, and we went to have ramen, and I remember thinking, oh yeah, I see him eating a lot of food on his videos, but like how much he's gonna eat in person? Like maybe he'll just eat a little bit and leave it. But oh my goodness, like basically he eats all the bowls to the point where you're seeing the emptiness of the bowl, and there's like barely any soup left. I mean, it's definitely love there. All right, we're seeing a whole bunch of questions. Yeah. So 164. Sadiq is saying 164. Vicky is saying 101. Robin's saying 101. Flip flops needed coming from Irvine is saying 79. Wallace is saying is 79 as well. So I don't know, Mike. Do you know the answer to this? I'm guessing
I do know the answer to this. It is 101 dumplings.
It's 101 dumplings.
101 dumplings.
101 dumplings. I think that day we had a time limit. I forgot how long the time limit was. And then I think at the end it was me and Eugene neck to neck. And well, I gotta say, like I had to keep talking during that whole thing. He could just eat. I'm gonna like disclaimer this. But Eugene was definitely a tough competitor. And then finally he looked at me. He's like, man, you know what? We're just going to keep one-upping each other, so let's just both stop at the same time. So we did. And that was a wise decision from a wise man.
How far do you think you could have gone had you pushed the limit?
I mean, those weren't big dumplings. Like, I think it could have just, like, easily went up to the maybe 120, 130s. And, sometimes you get a second wind. Depends if the camel factor kicks in. You're able to push some of the food into your hump on your back. Am I the only one that has that? I don't know. So then you hit that second wing, just keep going.
Is there another food that you think you could compete in really well, or one that you want to compete in?
I love pho.
Yeah.
That was I think the second food video we did. It was 4 pounds of pho, finished it in like 30 minutes.
Damn.
And afterwards went out for ice cream. So that I love pho. I love it.
Well, that's why many of you have seen many of videos. He's often here in Orange County in Southern California because we got some pretty good pho.
Oh, for sure.
For sure. Yeah. I love that. All right, Mike. Well, that's it for the trivia, but certainly Greg and I want to introduce you to, we have some more to ask Mike. This is our time together. And so I think it would be really fun to just talk to you, Mike. I'd love to learn about sort of what are you working on these days? And most importantly, how has your process changed during the pandemic? And like, an add-on to that, I would love for you to talk a little bit about how this pandemic has been for you as an Asian American, how your experience has been.
Well, I feel like this pandemic obviously impacted everybody on this planet, myself included. And of course, being a travel vlogger, travel is one thing you really can't do much anymore, until recently. Even then, it's very limited capacity. So before, my life was literally never home. I was on the road about 250 days minimum a year, sometimes upwards of 275, 300 sometimes. So it was just always on the road. And then, of course, when the pandemic happened, like I was in Seattle and I stayed in my apartment, I think for the next 6 to 8 months. Um, and of course, it's like, I was thinking, what am I going to do? Like, what if my job is done, basically? Like, I can't do anything.
Right.
So kind of transitioned at that point to like filming some supermarket videos, tasting different products videos, just trying to do stuff because I know everyone else is in a similar boat and everyone is scared and nervous, and so am I, and a lot of uncertainties in the world. So at least for me, I feel, I got a lot of messages, people saying that the videos really help. So I wanted to keep making the videos, and I wanted to, like, somehow, in some way, if I could, take people's mind off the pandemic for a little bit. But how it's different now, it's still kind of similar. Like there's no unlimited, like we're not back to where we were before the pandemic in terms of travel. So we're well, at least for me, I'm still just kind of roaming around the US as safe as I can. And just trying to do whatever I can, whatever I think is entertaining in the US without a lot of traveling. I don't want to travel too much either. But yeah, I feel like still everybody is still, I mean, it's better now, but still everybody is still dealing with a lot of uncertainties, I'm sure, including myself.
And one of my favorite videos, and I know Flip Flops said the same thing, is the video where you actually bought your parents a house and a home. And I thought that was like, it was so needed and so inspiring during this really challenging time too. Your parents, obviously, I'm just curious, like obviously we've been going through a lot, right, with the pandemic, and we've been seeing more cases of Stop Asian Hate across the country. How has this played a role in what you do, or have you experienced anything positive or negative?
I haven't personally experienced anything. Obviously, just like all the other Asians in around the U.S. or around the globe, that's Asians living in not Asia. We've been very aware of what's going on, to the point where I used to post about this almost daily, and got to the point where I just didn't feel like it was doing any good anymore. It was just so much of it. Seemed like it was happening. Every few hours, it seemed like some act of hate against Asians was being perpetrated. And like I felt very nervous for my parents. I felt very nervous for our community in general. And I think this is something that is still not being addressed adequately, because I feel like this didn't just stem from COVID. It started happening way before COVID. That I feel like Asians, Asian Americans, Asian Australians, I don't know, I know Asians in Canada too, have been dealing with a lot of racism, ton of racism. It's just that we don't speak up. Asians are always taught, ever since we were kids, to be passive and not to cause trouble, not to get involved in things, just to walk away. We've been pretty good at listening to our parents, because that's another thing that we do well. But that has caused a lot of people to feel like we can be very much pushovers and easy targets, and that's not the image that we want to portray to other people anymore. I don't think we can. We have to stand up for each other, and that's another thing. I feel like Asians, we never been that united. Like I feel like we, even within the Asian community, is like, oh, I don't like this group, I don't like that group. We gotta stand up for each other. We gotta help each other. We gotta step up. And like when we see something happening, we can't just be like, it's none of our business, all of our business. So this is a huge deal, and it's not slowing down. I think it's getting worse. I mean, we just had a case in New York where someone grabbed a mother and son and on the subway steps, and they fell, and the mom unfortunately just passed away. Like, stuff happens almost every day, like multiple times a day. It's just that we're hearing more about it now. I'm sure it happened a lot of times before too, just that we're hearing more about it now, and it's sickening. And yeah, the fact of the matter is nobody is doing really much of anything to help make this better. Our politicians, like our leaders, even Asian leaders, I feel like nobody is doing enough, because this is such a crisis right now. So it's up to our own community to kind of help each other and look out for each other. And I think that is where we start.
Well, thank you. Thank you for doing what you do. And thank you so much for saying that. It's so true. You're right. There's so many cases, and you're right. We need to come together. And then, yeah, thank you, Mike, for sharing that. I really appreciate that. I'm glad that you're safe, and most important that you haven't personally dealt with it, but doesn't mean it's not happening when we're not seeing it. So, Greg, let me ask you this. I mean, this is something that you and I have talked about before on the show too. It can stop Asian hate, obviously, but hopefully, we can have these open conversations. And I really thank you, Mike, for being honest with us on this, because sometimes, we're always talking about trends, and we're talking about financial things are happening, but it's happening to real people. But more importantly, we're really grateful for the work that you're doing, Mike, because I do know that I'm talking to a lot of people now, and they're saying, did you see Mike's video on this and that? And the kids can't go out right now, but watching lots of Mikey Chen right now. And it's like, I feel like I'm living through his journey, which I think is, so thank you, Mike, for doing that. Greg, have you been watching his videos? I'm guessing you're watching.
Yeah, no, and I love them. Just the idea of everything that you're doing, traveling and getting to see things, from your perspective and where you're going and what you're doing, and bringing people along with that. It's just really pretty incredible what you've been able to accomplish just with your YouTube channels. Just showing something that you probably enjoy doing no matter what, and bringing everybody with it and letting everybody kind of get an exposure to that. I think it's just really, really fascinating what you've been able to do. Something I wanted to ask too, just along those lines, because you've been doing this, I think you said it was 7 years ago that you really started, down this path. Over that amount of time, you've gone to so many different places. You've seen so many different things. And for you, what are some of the biggest innovations, I guess, that you've seen over these last several years, or maybe more recent, in culinary design, or just innovations in general, as far as you making your videos? Like, what are the biggest changes you've noticed?
It's pretty exciting to go to a lot of places where food is something that people are like actively working on via using technology. Like, if you go to Japan right now, I just went to a 7-Eleven where you pay with your hand. You go there and like basically high five the checkout machine, and you're good. There's robots now. If you go to like a lot of places in Texas, and I think New York has them too. Like, there's robots serving you now. If you go to like hot pot places, out comes this creepy robot that has like all your meat and noodles inside it. You go to Japan, there's tons of food innovations where the Japanese are just so incredibly diligent when it comes to like making the next like $200 melon. And if you think you would not pay $200 for a melon, wait till you taste a $200 melon. You will.
Is it really worth $200?
Oh, you will just happily be like, wow, that was worth every penny.
Really?
I mean, people, will go to Vegas and spend $1,000 in a hotel room, but go to Japan and get 5 of these melons. I think it's a much better use of your money. But yeah, like, just incredible dedication people have towards. I mean, food, and this is why I love it, because it's not just food. To a lot of people, it's their lives, it's their culture, it's their history, it's part of their identity. And this is what I always say when I tell people that they should travel and they should expand their palate, is that the best way to understand a different culture is taking a bite out of it, for sure. Because I mean, throughout history, people always ate. I mean, that's just always a constant. People always ate, and just exploring the food scene in a different culture, well, you'll learn so much about it. And that's one thing I feel like when this whole mess of things is finally over and done with, hopefully soon, everyone can just, learn. Everyone's been sitting around and stuck inside for such a long time, or been traveling in limited capacity for such a long time, go out and see as much of the world as you can, because sometimes things like this happen and you can't anymore.
Yeah, you can't predict something like this. So yeah, take advantage of the opportunities that are there. I think it's really interesting you bringing up the tech aspect too, because the traditional food that somebody has, like you said, like you're taking a taste of the culture, but also combining that with the tech innovation to see where that can take it. And it's just kind of a really interesting, kind of juxtaposition, I guess, as that increases. And you mentioned the robots too. I think there's a restaurant in Paris, I believe it is, that just opened up where it's an entirely staffed by robots, and they just make pizzas. And it's I think it's like 80 pizzas an hour that they're kicking out. I don't know if that's something that's going to be as good without that personal, the personal touch in there, but I suppose it's consistent. I guess,
Greg, that's how the takeover happens. It starts at a pizza joint in Paris.
Yeah.
And it escalates to a noodle shop in Japan, and next thing you know, like, they're running us down with cleavers, and that's how they become the overlords. That's how it is now. They're like, you want some noodles? Implant this chip or something like that. I don't know.
Well, Mike, you've been to so many places, so many different restaurants, and let me ask you this: what's on your bucket list for places to visit and eat? I mean, you seem to have experienced so much, but is your bucket list still? I'm guessing there's still a lot of places you haven't been to. Is there one place in particular that's really on your radar?
For sure. I mean, just sitting around, I have plenty of time to sit around and work on my bucket list, and there's still so many places I haven't been to. I want to go to Greece. Is a place in Europe I've never been. I want to go to Portugal. Portuguese food is absolutely amazing. The little I've tried at the airport, and in Macau, which has a lot of Portuguese influence. I want to go back to Asia. There's a lot of there's some Asian places I haven't been to that I want to go to. I want to go back to the Middle East if I can, like go back to some of those countries that I missed. Africa was a huge thing. I was supposed to. We were basically planning a trip for Africa right before this whole thing happened. So it was supposed to be. I was supposed to be going to Ethiopia, and then from there, a couple other countries in Africa, then heading over to Nepal. Like, it was a huge trip of places I haven't been that I've been dying to go. So hopefully if this thing will ever go away, hopefully soon, then gotta hit these up. Like, I think the whole Turkey I've been to, a wonderful country. I love Turkey. The videos I had to take down for some reasons. Anyway, but there's I feel like this is something everybody should do. Like, make a list. Money, I feel like, is always best spent on experiences than stuff. If you look at my house, like, I don't have that much stuff in there. Like, it's just, I haven't really bought anything. But like anything, like, I just want to use my resources on experiences, whether that's traveling somewhere, hotels, or just anything. I think some scientists said this. There's research done where your brain remembers and gets much more joy out of experiences than like something something else you get on Amazon. So that's, I think, something I would encourage everybody to do. Like, whether you can afford it or not, just at least make a list, make a bucket list, make something, and then once you have enough money, do it.
I love that. You're doing a plan. You're doing planning, right? You're making lists of places that you want to be, and just like you do your financial plan. This is like from step A to step Z. What are you going to accomplish? I love that. Thank you, Mike. What else we got, Greg?
That's awesome. Well, I have just a straight up food question for you. And I don't know if this is a difficult one to answer or not for you, but following along with your videos, certainly, one of the things that you try a lot of is barbecue. And so for you, what is the best kind of barbecue?
Well, it depends, Greg, because if you talk about barbecue, you're going to ruffle a lot of feathers.
Exactly. I didn't want to box you in a corner there.
I mean, you go to, like, I've had some of the best ribs in my life in St. Louis, some of the best smoked meats in a gas station in Kansas City. My favorite right now, at least for now, and maybe I'm a little biased because I just moved. I love Texas barbecue. I love it. I could be eating at a Texas barbecue place every day, and I'm extremely happy. The brisket, the beef rib is just unbelievable. If you never had Texas barbecue, there is just no beating it. Like I've said this in New York. I've said New York doesn't really have good barbecue. I stand by that. I don't really feel like New York has a lot of good barbecue places, if any. Then that's because I've eaten at the best barbecue places, and just nothing comes close. So, best ribs, some of the best ribs: St. Louis, Kansas City, brisket, and beef rib. You got to go to Texas, like 100%.
All right.
All right, Greg. Looks like we're taking the show on the road
Going to
because
Texas. That's it. Yeah, 100%.
my Texas husband is very happy to hear that. That is awesome. And Suzanne, by the way, joining us from LinkedIn, and she is from Austin, Texas, and she is saying she agrees, like spending money on experiences like food, especially when you travel. I think, yeah, that's such a great way to actually manage your, your bucket list too. I love that. Well, this is something, I've always wondered through the years, and I want to thank Greg for actually helping me with this question, Mike, is, you and I have eaten at quite a few restaurants together, and I always love seeing you eat because there's so much enjoyment when you do this. And I always see when you're going through the dish, like certain things you love, certain things, And by the way, if you've even ever eaten with Mike, you know that he's extremely generous. He always wants you to eat more. And he's always giving you like the best. He's like, yo, I tried this so good. If you had a restaurant and you had a special dish, or let's just say if a restaurant came up with a Mike Chen dish and it was named after you, what would be in it and what would it be like?
100%. It's going to be dumplings with a nest of noodles. That's my thing. Like, I love dumplings so much. I can never choose between dumplings and noodles. And I always hate having to choose between that. I mean, if we can come up with like I've seen this before. It was a cheesesteak wrapped with a slice of pizza. If we can come up with that, we can come up with noodles inside a dumpling. So, nest of biang biang noodles, which are the best noodles, like the nice chewy belt width noodles that's really famous in my hometown of Xi'an, with some delicious pork and dill dumpling. That'll make your heart better.
Pork, that is amazing. So pork dumpling with dill and noodles in this.
Oh, for sure. Dill, I'm super underrated. People use that so much as a garnish. Great ingredient.
Really? I grow dill in the back. I'm gonna check this out. Let me ask you this, Mike. So hot oil, where does that come into play in this dish? Is it included in the dish? Is it in the dumpling, or is it something you add yourself?
I mean, hot oil is something that should be with you at all times. Like, this is a necessary ingredient. I don't have it on me personally when I'm filming sometimes, but I always have it in my luggage. So sometimes I just forget to bring it. We are working on a travel size hot oil. So as soon as that's available, that'll be on my person at all times, because that's something that's really, really important, because it could mean the difference between a good lunch and a great lunch.
Okay. We're really excited about this. I don't know. I feel like this dumpling noodle dill extravaganza sounds pretty incredible. So if you're watching out there, this might be your chance to see what, maybe put this Mike Chen dish on your menu and see, maybe Mike will show up and try this dish. Flip Flops Needed on YouTube is saying 100% agree. Hot oil every day. That's right. Instead of a first aid kit in his car, I'm guessing he has a kit that opens up and it's just like different hot oils.
Yeah, we use a first aid kit. You put some hot oil on that wound, it'll just seal it right up.
There it is.
Kids don't do that, but like,
I'm sure better to have it on that desert island then.
Yeah, it'll be beneficial. Yeah.
So, Greg, do you do that? Do you put hot oil on everything too?
I don't, but now I'm going to start thinking about doing that, because especially if you've got a travel size one, I mean, that shows how serious you are about this. I clearly need to be putting more hot oil on things.
Oh, for sure.
Paint it on your wall.
Yeah, I got to get better about this. I'll definitely do that. By the way, I know we were joking about not watching the show being hungry, and I did that on accident. And yes, talking about all these dumplings and everything else, I'm starving now. But I did have another food question for you. Also, maybe not as controversial as barbecue, but just controversial to some people. When it comes to pizza, are you a pineapple person or not? Does pineapple belong on pizza?
Greg, I don't understand the controversy. Like, people are killing each other over this. This is like, is really not that difficult. I mean, what is the hate of pineapple on pizza? I don't get it. Like, it's not something I request on all my pizza, but when I have some pineapple on my pizza, I don't hate it. I'm not going to discriminate fruit on my pizza. I mean, you got tomatoes on your pizza. That's a fruit. I mean, pineapple is just basically its sweeter cousin. So, I mean, I think it's fine. Maybe because I grew up in the Midwest. I mean, I've had my fair share of Papa John's pineapple pizza. I don't hate it. I don't understand the extreme hate, though. Why don't people use that fuel for hate on broccoli? I mean, that thing takes up your stomach space, and it doesn't shrink. Like, I don't get why people are like, why do you hate broccoli? You know, it doesn't shrink. It's this cheap ingredient that just takes up so much of your stomach that you're hungry, you're full so much easier, and you can eat so much less. I mean,
what about cauliflower? What about cauliflower? Because that's sort of related to broccoli. Do you have a similar
No, because cauliflower, when you stir fry it in chilies, is actually really good, and it falls apart better than broccoli. Broccoli is just, I don't know, like, and you guys ever had a feast of broccoli, like, and been around people? I'm sure people complain about that. I mean, it comes out in very mysterious ways. It's not good. So, I mean, let's put our hate on that. Broccoli on pizza. Say no to that.
Say no to that. Hey, speaking of which, did you know?
I don't know.
I know. What did broccoli? I mean, what about beef and broccoli? It seems like it's a very common Chinese.
Here's the thing. People see all this in Chinese restaurants. You know, broccoli is not a traditional Chinese ingredient. If you go to China, you're not going to find these dishes. Maybe nowadays you will, but traditional Chinese dishes never include this. We have our own broccoli. We have Chinese broccoli, but not this. So this is any dish you see with this. Like, this is my rule, actually. When I look through a picture of a restaurant, if I see broccoli on a lot of dishes, I'm not going, because to me it's not authentic anymore. To me, the restaurant is not gonna give me what I want. So yeah, the hatred is real for me. It
really is.
Broccoli lover.
Yeah, I agree with you on the pineapple. I'm fine with pineapple on pizza. So, but Twitter, that's a very divisive thing. So
yeah. I don't get
Sorry
it.
for you pineapple haters out there.
Well, did you know that pineapple pizza actually wasn't started in Hawaii? Did you know
really?
that
Hawaiian pizza?
pineapple pizza started in Canada? In Canada.
Canada.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Well, they know what they're doing. They made the whole poutine thing. That's pretty good.
Yeah. I'm pro pizza. I'm pro pizza no matter what. So, all right. Well, Mike, I wanted to ask you this too. Just, we really, really appreciate you joining us here today too, to talk about this and then take time out of your schedule, because I'm sure you're doing a ton of stuff. And that's what I just kind of wanted to ask for everybody watching, who are big fans of yours and who are following along. I don't know if you can tell us like what you're working on or what's next on the horizon for you, or any kind of teases for what's coming up.
Sure. Well, I appreciate you guys having me. Always great talking to you guys. And I haven't seen Winnie in so long, so it's really good to see Winnie too. And I've been working on a lot of stuff. We're launching a few new shows. We're doing a traditional Chinese show. We're going to just put a lot of myths and legends and great stories out there. That's going to go up starting, I think, middle of next month. We're working on a mukbang show where it's just going to be storytelling and food. And we're doing a cooking show as soon as I can get to Canada. We're going to start doing a cooking show. We have everything set. It kind of just all closed down when COVID happened. And also, I got 2 restaurants coming up. One is going to be in New York, and one in Houston, Texas. So that's coming up, I think, September and October. So,
Wow.
Fingers crossed, all this stuff will get to launch this year.
That's amazing. Wow. We're in Texas, Mike.
Houston.
And we're in New York.
It's going to be in New York City. It's going to be in Queens, Flushing. It's going to be a ramen shop. I tasted the Wagyu ramen. Mind blowing. So I'm very excited about that.
Well, we're very excited about that. And we're very excited to taste it. But most importantly, hopefully you actually might create this special dumpling at one of your restaurants. Which sounds like, sounds really good.
Oh, it's gonna happen one day. Strictly Dumpling isn't just the name of my channel. We're gonna build a restaurant chain out of that. It's just gonna be dumplings instead of noodles.
I so want those, or however it works, whatever it works. Yeah, dumplings, noodles. That's all it needs to say on the menu.
For sure.
So, Well, that's amazing. And Mike, like we said, thank you so much. And Winnie, thank you for bringing your friend Mike Chen onto the show.
Thank you for letting me do. I mean, it's such a treat. I was so excited when he said yes. I mean, I will tell you, I miss him so much. I miss just hanging out with him. Such a wonderful and sweet person. And everything that you see on video that you love about Mike, let me just tell you, he's 100 times even more amazing in person. As a friend, I'm so grateful to have him in my life. So thank you, Greg, for letting me share him with everybody today. And
Well,
I don't know.
Well, thank you so much, Winnie, for saying all that. It's great seeing you too. And Greg, nice meeting him.
Yeah, nice to meet
My
you
future
too.
MC for my wedding.
Absolutely. Yep. Consider me booked. I'm there. As long as I get a free plate. That's all I ask.
Oh, for sure.
That's it. That's the only payment.
It's a buffet. It's going to be like multiple plates.
Well, and thanks to everybody tuning in too. We really appreciate all of you join the show every week, every Thursday, 2:30 p.m. Pacific, 5:30 Eastern. And every week we're going to have something else. We're talking to cool people, talking about cool things. And you are just amazing for joining us. So please, hit subscribe, share the show, hit Winnie or I up anytime. You can always write us personally. Any questions you have, any ideas you have, just shoot them on over and we'll absolutely talk to whoever it is. And we just enjoy doing this with you, enjoy having you a part of this show and a part of what we do every week. So thanks for being here. And I think that's about it for this week. So thanks everybody for joining. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Winnie. Thanks everybody. And we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.